Welcome to a brand new installment of this series. I want to talk about how I have a weird memory. I have like this issue where I can remember almost everything about my life since like the age of 4 years old. I have a couple of memories when I was an infant, a baby, wearing diapers. I have some memories of that, but like they're kind of like in fragments. But if you tell me your name, I'm going to forget that in minutes, if not seconds. You could have a simple name like Bill, and then just like 30 seconds later, I'm going to call you Guy or my man or dude. Like, what's up, man? What up, dude? What up, my man? My guy? Because I forgot your name. I'll be honest, I forgot your name. And another thing I have a hard time with is uh, days, like what day we're in, what year we're in. Sometimes I love learning history. I can remember so much of history. The moment you're like, what year was George Washington born? Ah, damn it. A name and a year question? Are you kidding me? I know who George Washington is, by the way. I'm just making an example of how ridiculous my memory can be. But if you ask me, what was your first memory? Oh, well, I was at least a year old. My earliest memory that I have is there was this cat that my grandmother owned from on my mom's side, and it was under the crib. And I was just this kid. I was just like, I want to touch that. Like I saw the cat, and like my brain wasn't necessarily clicking with like, I want to pet the cat. No, my brain was more like fuzzy touch. Me touch fuzzy cat. Cat me touch cat. So I went down there and the cat was hissing at me, and I was like, well, that's a new one on me. I don't know what that is. And then it scratched my index finger. I specifically remember exactly where it scratched my index finger as well. And I remember looking down at it, and there was like ribbons of skin hanging out of there still. And I just remember freaking out. It was at the base of my wrist down to the middle of the knuckle of my index finger is where it scratched me. And I do not remember who it was that came in, but they took a little cotton ball, got some peroxide, touched it on my finger to, disinfect it. And the entire time all I could think about was the fact that the ribbons of skin reminded me of the threads of like the stuffed animals, and I thought that I was coming undone. I was like, well, that's it. That's my life. Attacked by that feral beast under the crib. Now I'm gonna fall apart. But that's my earliest memory. I will often share my memories with my family just to see if it's a real memory or something fabricated. Because we all do that. We all fabricate memories. We will think we remember it one way, and then we remember it a different way later on. For example, I made an episode where I talked about how I had a Commodore 64 and I remember the letters were green. But then I was corrected that the letters are actually blue, that the screen is blue, not green. But I swear I remember it being green. And I'm not trying to like, oh, well, I know what's best. No, no. If I say something and you are like, that's not how it is, tell me. I don't care. I'll rightfully even admit that I was wrong. Because I researched it. The moment they said it was blue, and then they gave me a couple of names of Commodores that were green, I looked it up. They were right. The Commodore 64 was blue. There was one person who said, well, it probably the monitors were swapped out. That can also be true. The Commodore 64 that I had gotten was not, I didn't purchase that. It came from my grandfather. He passed it on to me. And my my uncle and my grandfather worked on that a lot. So it to have different screen to the monitor to the computer, because if I'm not mistaken, I think the keyboard itself was the computer. Like you could plug that into a TV or somewhere else, and like you'd be able to use it. I could be wrong. All right, I don't remember. All I remember was the screen was green. That's all I remember. But it could be a fabricated memory. I do remember having a Commodore. I've asked relatives about that, and they all strongly tell me it was a 64. So I know that much. I know that's true. But the color of the screen, I'm second guessing now. I could have sworn it was green, but evidence point that it's blue. And that's my point. You can have a fabricated memory. You can remember it one way, but it's actually a different thing. So whenever I remember something, I try to like tell my family. And not too often do they tell me that that didn't happen. But later on in life, eventually a family member would be like, oh, wait, no, I remember that. They don't remember that because they weren't there. It's like, okay. For example, one of the things that had happened in my life was I watched my mother and father when they were flipping on and off the lights in the house. Not in the house, but the apartment that we lived in. Um, and so I was just like, huh, fascinating. That thing on the wall makes it bright in this room. And all I have to do is, and I realized the off and on. And I thought to myself, the short little squiggly lines turns the lights on. The longer squiggly lines turns them off. And so I did it. I reached up there and grabbed it. I must have been at least 4, maybe 3. And it worked. I got it to turn on. And so I went all throughout the house. Now, why do I keep saying house? All throughout the apartment, turning on all of the lights. And my mom started yelling at everyone. I was too young to remember what it was that she was saying. So I asked her one time. I was like, Mom, remember that time I was turning on all the lights in the... What were you saying to everybody? And she goes, I was asking who the fuck is turning on all these lights? I was like, oh, that was me. I did that. She goes, yeah, we know. We know now. But it's interesting that I can remember something like that. Something so, in my past. But you tell me your name, I'm sorry. Was it Jack? No, man, it was Matthew. Where'd you get Jack from? Not even close to sounding like it. I'm sorry. I wasn't. I was paying attention, I swear. I do pay attention. When people tell me their names, oh, I have to like do this whole, like, I repeat it over and over again in my head. I've tried that. I've tried writing it down. It would almost be better if I just put name tags on people. Like, oh, you're this person? Here's a name tag. Keep it on you at all times so I can remember your name forever. You realize how easy life would be if we did that? If everyone just walked around with name tags on them all the time? Just walk up to the person like, hello, Daniel. But it's a weird thing for me to not be able to remember that, but remember my life. Maybe it's because I play it over and over again in my head. I mean, I do have autism, okay? And so repeating things in my head is kind of a norm for me. So maybe that's probably it. Maybe it's just that I'm repeating these memories in a loop my entire life, that I'm almost practically scrapbooking my memories in my head. Like, that could be it. But at the same time, I don't know. I really wish I could remember names. I really wish I could remember months and dates and years. I wish I didn't live in a constant life of just not knowing when it is and who you are. A constant life of what year is this and who are you? But being able to retain my childhood memories and even my young adult memories and adolescence is fascinating because a lot of times I reflect, I look back, and I see where I was, and I try to relate that to where I am now. Because I try to strive to be better every day. I strive to be a well-rounded individual, and in order for me to do that, I have to reflect on my past in order for me to not continue that in the future. But again, I really wish I could remember names. I really wish I could remember names and what year this is and what month we're in and where am I and who are you. But I guess I can settle for having a decent memory for everything else. Thank you for listening.